Mezzala is an Italian term originating as two words, mezza and ala, meaning half-winger. When WM was the primary formation in European football, the mezzale, the plural has an E, were the 8 and the 10, the players who sat just behind the forward line. According to the Athletics Serie A correspondent James Horncastle, the easiest way to think of a mezzala now is to evoke that positional sense. A mezzala is in essence a number 8, someone who joins in the attack. As Horncastle points out, it doesn't help that the term is interchangeable with interno, someone who plays inside, and incursore, someone who makes an incursion in the final third or opposition penalty area. And this is one of the things that complicates understanding the term. While students of Football Manager might see a mezzala as purely a central player who drifts wide, and purists might point to the flanking midfielders of a midfield 3, the term is complicated by a confusion of its origins, its specific use to describe a position, and its broader use to describe a role. So it's most straightforward then to think of a mezzala as the kind of player who gets up to support attacks, but does so largely by drifting into the half spaces, from where they can prompt passing moves, typically linking with inside forwards or forwards who drop off, before pushing up at times to get into the box. Generally they will do this from the flanks of a midfield 3, but that is as much about the cover and stability afforded by such a system to players who push on, as it is an inherent quality of the position. Indeed, such flanking players could also be more destructive players. These are known as medianos. Think Gennaro Gattuso and Missima Ambrosini flanking Andrea Pirlo. In a 4-3-3 that doesn't use destroyers to protect a deeper lying playmaker, these flanking players will often drift wide to link with the fullbacks and wide forwards to create passing triangles as they seek to create an overload to progress the ball. A second flanking midfielder and a more defensively minded deeper midfielder can act as cover for when the mezzala pushes forwards. They may also create the overlap themselves, or create an overload in the half space, especially if playing with inverted wingers. A good example of this was Angel Di Maria, playing as the left midfielder in a midfield 3 behind Cristiano Ronaldo under Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. Ronaldo would cut inside to offer a goal threat, while Di Maria would either move into the wide space to overlap or attack from a deeper position in the half space behind Ronaldo. Balance is the key. That's why some of the really effective midfield 3s have a player who acts as a mezzala, a player who is more of a shuttling box-to-box midfielder, and then a deeper player who either screens or creates play from a quarterback position in the centre of the pitch. Chelsea's 3-man midfield of Jorginho, N'Golo Kante and Mateo Kovacic is an example of the latter. While France's slightly lopsided 4-2-3-1 in the 2018 World Cup final saw Blaise Matuidi as a shuttling player, nominally positioned as a left inside forward, Paul Pogba as a mezzala and Kante screening. Serie A has a variety of mezzale playing for different teams. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic at Lazio would be considered a mezzala because of his late runs into the box, his ability to play in the half spaces and create, and because he's often the furthest forward of the midfield. He's something of an outlier though, as he often drifts into the middle to win aerial duels too, and acts almost as an additional forward at times. Luis Alberto is arguably a mezzala too, playing between the lines to create, but he doesn't get forwards quite as much. And both take on defensive duties too, helping screening midfielder Lucas Leiva. Piotr Zielinski of Napoli also plays as a mezzala on the left or sometimes right-hand side of the midfield 3. He gets forwards in support of attacks, keeps the ball circulating in wide areas, and possesses a great turn of pace to get forwards after he's worked the overload out wide. Other good examples are Juventus' Aaron Ramsey, Inter Milan's Mattias Vecino, Atalanta's Mario Pasalic, on loan from Chelsea, and Fiorentina's Gaetano Castrovilli. These are midfielders who could be described as 8s, getting forwards to help build and finish attacks, creating from positions in the half space, and combining with wide forwards or wing-backs to work openings. The mezzala is both a position and a role. Creative, industrious, and multifaceted, mezzale can be the hub of their team's midfield.